Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is July 15th, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 138 of me answering your immigration related question. As you can see, I have all your comments pulled up in front of me, and as I suspected, since the brand new visa bulletin just came out yesterday for August 2023, a lot of questions are going to be about that. Before we begin, as always, I'm going to mention I am not an immigration attorney. It's not a legal advice. All the information provided in these videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS and of course the Department of State with their visa bulletin. So let's start with the very first comment from Marsha Whitelock 7787. Crying smiley. They are just lazy. That's my opinion. The embassy needs to work in full demand and stop blaming COVID-19. We have to deal with it. Marsha, I definitely, share your frustration with the most recent issue, the yesterday's visa bulletin. If anybody watching this video, if you haven't seen, make sure to check it out. Especially concerning is the F2A category that retrogressed about 2.5-3 years back, which is really sad to see, because F2A, you have to keep in mind, yes, it's for permanent residents, but it is spouses and children under 21 of permanent residents. So now from waiting about 3 years, it went up to waiting about 5 to 6 years. The backlog, that is, on the visa bulletin, which is completely unfair. And honestly, to add on top of Marsha's comment, it's not even the embassy that is, the problem here. It's the Congress. The Congress created legislation that put a cap on the availability of the immigrant visas that are issued each year, and there was always and there will always be more applications coming in for these immigrant visas, for family reunification. You have to keep in mind, these are all I-130 family reunification petitions from U.S. citizens, permanent residents, petitioning for their sons and daughters who are over 21, who are married, permanent residents petitioning for their spouses, for their children under 21, for their children over 21, and then of course U.S. citizens petitioning for brothers and sisters, which is a forced preference category. So 4 different family preference categories, and they're all struggling. They're all struggling because they have to wait really long time, not because the application is being processed, not because the embassy is not scheduling the interview or anything like this, but simply because there's a limited amount of visas that are issued each year, and there's more applications. All these extra applications each year, they roll over to the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year, and obviously you can see how it just keeps on growing. It will keep on growing. I don't know when, anybody in Congress, anybody in Department of Homeland Security will look at this and say, okay, you know what? This system doesn't work. It's getting worse. And people are waiting for no reason for so long. So we need to do something about it. I don't know when that day is coming, but if you can bring awareness, if you have a way to share this information with your friends, with your relatives, obviously we are, as immigrants who did everything legally, who did everything the correct way, and yourself, people who've been subscribed to this channel, people who are watching these videos, that I'm an immigrant myself, and I do have right now an I-130 petition for my brother, and I did have petitions that were already approved for my parents. So I know how it is. I know the process. I've been through it, and I know what it is to wait. For my brother, right now, as of right now, we're going to be waiting for another 13 years or 14 years. And I know it's going to be way longer than this because, again, the backlog keeps on growing. So one of the reasons, besides obviously being able as an immigrant myself to answer some of your questions, I can also, with this channel, bring at least some of the awareness to people that are not aware that there is a problem like this, for people who are doing everything the right way. So of course, when the doing things the right way are harder, then there is some kind of shortcut here. Of course, people are going to be jumping on that shortcut. It's not encouraged. It's not good. It's not right. But you can't blame the people that are choosing the easy way because, well, why the correct way is not the easy way. But anyway, this is a whole different conversation. Let's get back to answering the questions. From Vali HDH 1587, our priority date in F3 category has finally reached after 15 years. And we received a notice from NBC saying your next notification is either your interview appointment, or if you don't get it within 60 days, we will send you a notice for waiting more in line. Now kindly tell us, will we get our interview date within said 60 days, or if we have to wait more, how many months we should expect to wait more? Vali, thank you very much for another comment, for another question. Congratulations on finally reaching that. Finally, the priority date becoming current. 15 years, a really long time to wait. So unfortunately, most of the times, whenever it comes to those 60-day notifications, most of the times, you don't get the interview after the first one. Most of the people that at least I know of, most of the cases that I've seen, they keep getting a few of those, like 2, 3 of those notices, extending another 60 days and another 60 days before the interview is scheduled. And most of the times the interview is scheduled right around at least 4 months. Most of the times it's about 6 months. Personally, in my situation, it was 9 months. And it was immediate relative category, so immigrant visa was already available, and it still took 9 months for the interview to be scheduled. Also, it really depends on which country the US Embassy is in, because depending on how busy it is, it might be faster, it might be slower. What I would recommend you to do is when you get closer to the end of the first 60 days, so it's going to be about a month and a half, close to 2 months mark, call your US Embassy where you're going to be doing the interview and ask them, say, hey, my immigrant visa is, my priority date is current, my immigrant visa is available, I wanted to see if my interview was already scheduled. A lot of times they say, no, we can't give you that information, but sometimes they do tell you. You can find your US Embassy here on this list right here, whichever country, it goes by the country. So just select your country and you will see the US Embassy and you will see the phone number. So for example, for let's say Bahamas, let's see if there is, yep, there you go, Bahamas, and there's a phone number right there. And you can just call them and say, don't be upset if they don't give you any information, because like I said, sometimes they don't, but you might be lucky and you get somebody nice on the phone and they give you that information. Would be nice to know. Okay, moving further to the next comment question from Patel988. Our file 2007, if put in, how many times will it take for the file to open? F4 category. Patel, I'm not sure I understand your question correctly, but let's take a look at F4. I don't know the chargeability area, but I know the priority date, priority year 2007, and F4 as of right now for all chargeability area is on 2007. It's April 2007. So you are very, very close to your priority being current. That is if you're in all chargeability or China. If it's India, Mexico, or Philippines, you still have some more time to wait. But for all chargeability, you're already pretty close to being current. So again, once your visa is current, the only really other thing is to wait for is administrative processing by the US Embassy to schedule that interview for you, and then doing your medical examination and then going for that interview. So you're really close. But if you do want a little bit more details, a little bit better estimate, let me know in a separate comment. Your priority date, month, and the year would be nice. Again, your family preference category, so that I don't forget, and then the chargeability area. And I will take a look at the visa bulletin and give you some estimates. Okay, moving further to user SY5K. Sorry, YouTube, for whatever reason, they decided to change from names to handles. So now I only see handles. Hello, sir. My case got approved in June 2020. And on May 30, 2021, we submitted all documents except a police report for an applicant who was 15 at the time. And we are just now doing. How long will it take for our case to documentarily qualify? And can you give any rough estimate as to when we can expect an interview? Priority date December 7, 2015. Okay, so I'm gonna ask for some follow-up information. First of all, what is it's applicant under 15? So I'm assuming you're probably F2A. You have to be F2A, because if you are Well, if you were a US citizen, then you wouldn't be dealing with the visa backlog at all. It would have been an immediate relative category. So I'm assuming you're a permanent resident petitioning for your child who is 15. So it's F2A category on the visa bulletin. Let's see. So you are December 2015. Let me take a look at the visa bulletin and see what we got. F2A is October 2017. So no, that's a little bit too long. Then you wouldn't have been waiting for so long. I definitely gonna need some additional information. Also, my question that I have for you, if you have submitted all the documents, I'm assuming for documentary qualification with the NVC, back in May 2021, that's over 2 years ago. That is a very long time. Typically, it doesn't get that long to become documentarily qualified. Usually, it is reviewed within 3-4 months, and your documents are either accepted and they documentarily qualify you, or they say, no, we're missing something. So I would recommend checking on the NVC portal, making sure that everything is submitted and there is nothing that you need to do and you really are documentarily qualified. Because at this point, if you have submitted all the documents back in, more than 2 years ago, you should have definitely gotten the response from NVC, either your documents accepted, documentarily qualified, or not accepted. For example, something is missing, like that said police report. Also, another question that I have for you is, what did they respond regarding the police report? I don't remember exactly what the age limitation was for the exemption, where you don't need to submit the police report for a child. But I'm pretty sure it is, if a child is 15, I'm pretty sure you do need to have that police report attached to the NVC portal. So please, if you can, answer all these questions. I know it's a lot, I'm very sorry. But if you can give me a little bit more information, I will follow up on it and provide more information, hopefully, in the next video, in the next volume. I would really appreciate it. And for everyone, if you are submitting some follow-up information, please make sure to put it in a separate comment. Don't respond to my comment within your comment, because if you do, YouTube does not send me those notifications. Okay, moving further. Looks like same comment, just a copy. Okay, awesome. Just with the heart at the end. I'm gonna heart that as well so that it's not here anymore. So moving further to Yesela Lewa Jetu 3616. Hello, my brother, I guess. My priority date November 12, 2021, I-130, marriage visa. When will be interview? I've been waiting interview 5 months. Please explain. Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. So it really depends. If you are married to a US citizen, then you are in immediate relative category, which means that once the I-130 is approved by USCIS, your immigrant visa is already available. The only thing that you're waiting is the interview to be scheduled. Usually, it's about 6 months for the interviews to be scheduled. There are some situations, if it's a busier embassy, it might take up to a year. So it might take quite a long time for the interview to be scheduled. However, if you are married to a permanent resident, then you are in F2A category. And F2A category, it does take quite a long time as of right now, especially because it retrogressed. We found out it yesterday on the August 2023 visa bulletin. And of course because there's a backlog on this family preference category, you have to wait longer for the availability of the immigrant visa. As of right now, as of what we know, it is about 6 years. A little bit less than 6 years total. So let me know again. I know your priority date. You've been already waiting for 2 years, so I'm thinking you're probably not immediate relative. You're probably in F2A. So roughly another 4 years for the availability of the immigrant visa. That is if you are in, married to a permanent resident. But again, it is possible that you are also in immediate relative category because, 2021, 2 years, yes, it's a long time. But if you're in a country where US Embassy is a little bit busier, then it might take that long for the whole thing before it's transferred from the NBC to the US Embassy, and then US Embassy schedules the appointment, and it might take quite a long time. So let me know in the follow-up comment, and I will be able to provide a little bit more information. Okay, moving further to Fugitive 1205. Hello there. My friend will be applying for L1 as a Canadian citizen at the port of entry, not going to consulate. Is he supposed to fill out DS-160 or port of entry doesn't require DS-160? Thanks for your video. Fugitive, thank you very much for the question. That's an interesting one. I haven't had a question like this. So no, port of entry does not require the DS-160. DS-160 is only for the US Embassy, and that's basically the visa application. So if he is entering, if the Canadian citizen is entering the country, then depending on which, I'm assuming he's entering as a tourist or visitor. I'm not sure how exactly it works for Canadian citizens, but as far as I know, for Canada, you really don't need a visa to enter the country. So I'm assuming he's going to enter, and once he enters, he will have like a visitor from Canada status as a Canadian national, as a Canadian citizen. And then from here on, if he wants to get the L1, then he would have to submit not the petition for a non-immigrant worker, the one that you commented on, but the change of status, if that's what he's doing. Unless he has an employer who is willing to sponsor him as a non-immigrant. So you have a non-immigrant worker option, you have an immigrant worker option. So there's it depends. But as a starting point, probably it would be a petition for a non-immigrant worker. In that case, that's the petition that you're submitting. So hopefully that's understandable. If you have any follow-up questions, let me know and I will be happy to provide additional details. Alrighty, let me pause this and we're going to move on to the next one. From Shinuda Bikit 8701. Shinuda, thank you for another comment as always, and thank you very much for being publicly subscribed. Hi there, in the process of applying for green card, is it necessary to get a police clearance even though that I didn't go to a police station before, my record is clean? Great question, Shinuda. No, you don't need the police certificate as you do whenever it comes to NVC, becoming documentarily qualified. The reason why you need it for NVC is most of the times, not most of the times, but when the beneficiary or whoever is on the petition, whoever the beneficiary is, I meant to say, from another country. So from another country, you're showing that in that country, the beneficiary never had any kind of criminal record, everything is good. Whenever you're applying here for the adjustment of status, you are going here through the biometrics appointment. And part of the biometrics is you are giving your fingerprint, your picture to the FBI database. So they will check all of that stuff for you. So you don't need to submit anything separately from here. All of that done by the background check at one of the application centers during the biometric appointment. And then the second question is how to prove the 1 year eligibility, which documents? Great question. So you don't need to prove it at all. As long as you waited 1 year before applying, that's it. You're applying and you're good. And they know it themselves that you have been waiting for a whole year before applying. So thank you very much, Shinuda, for your questions. If you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to come back and ask them here. You're always welcome. Okay, moving further to Raj Winder Sandhu 9504. Need the update for I-730 form. I applied for my wife in May 2023, so how much time will take? Raj, so you're commenting on the visa bulletin. So visa bulletin is only for the 4 family preference categories. Well, also the employment base, but we're talking about the families just for now, which is U.S. citizens and the permanent residents applying for their relatives. Whenever it comes to I-730, which is it's a similar petition, but it is for refugee and asylee, granted status of refugee and asylee. At this very moment, the only way you can check it is through the processing times on USCIS, and I will show you where to find it. We're going to go to uscis.gov. This is the official government website for U.S. citizenship and immigration services. You can find this link in the description below. So for everyone who's watching, in order to find the processing times, you click on Tools right here at the very corner, and then you click on Case Status Online. And you can check your case status here as well, or you can put your reference receipt number that you got on your notice of receipt right here, and it will come up. I'll tell you which, where it is. But if you want to find out approximately how long the petition takes, USCIS processing times information. Here it is. This is the page. So we're gonna go click on I-730. There you go, refugee asylee relative petition. From category, there's only one option, and then the field office. There's only 2, Nebraska and Texas. And as of right now, 13 months in Nebraska. Let's see Texas, if it's the same or if it's different. quite longer in Texas. So depending on which state you filed your petition from, it's either in Nebraska or in Texas in quite different processing time. So what I'm going to do is I am going to post this right here, and I'll put the link for this page so that you don't have to search for it. Okay, moving further to the next question from Sammy JJ9732. I filed for my daughter October 17, 2017. I did DNA and my daughter did hers. So when is our date? Sammy, thank you very much for your question. So again, it depends. Obviously, you know, you might be a US citizen petitioning for a daughter who's over 21. You might be a permanent resident petitioning for a daughter who's under 21. You might be a US citizen petitioning for a daughter who is married or unmarried. So please let me know a little bit more details, and I will try to give you a little bit more, you know, in my answer, some rough estimates. So what I'm going to need is the chargeability area. That's number one. The priority date, once again, please, if you don't mind, so that I don't forget. And then the family preference category. So you're looking at the visa bulletin. It can be F1, it can be F2A, it can be F2B, it can be F3. So let me know which one for you, and I will take a look at it and give you some rough estimates. Okay, moving further to Sunrise GP3YM. Sunrise, thank you very much for another comment, a question. I really appreciate it. So Sunrise says, thank you for all your explanations. You're very welcome. Which volume is about documents explaining? Thanks ahead. Okay, so if I'm understanding your question correctly, you're asking about the documentary qualification, because I was talking about in this Visa Bulletin August 2023 video, the one that you commented on, I was talking about the video on becoming documentarily qualified. So you can find that video in the link in the description of the Visa Bulletin August 2023. I'm pretty sure I posted it here in this video as well. I'm gonna check. But it's called documentarily qualified. What does it mean? And it's one of those with dark city background and then documentarily qualified, big yellow letters. And in that video, I show NVC portal that it was already documentarily qualified, and you can see the fees that were paid. You can see the applications and affidavit of support and the documents that were submitted. So if that's what you're referring to, it's uploaded on this channel pretty recently. I think I uploaded like 2 months ago. I will try to, hopefully I don't forget, but I'll try to add it to the one of the, what is it called? Like the cards that come out on top of the video with the link. But if that's not it, let me know, and I will find that video and I will send it to you, post it in the comment. Okay, moving further to the next question, comment from Farshar1977. Hi, my priority date is 2013. F4 visa category. Is that 4? Yes, that is 4. I received approval letter in 2020. Awesome. But my portal is not open for fee and other documents. What is actually I need to do? Please explain. Thanks. Okay, let's take a look. So your priority, you're in F4. FIV visa category. So that's 4. F4, so that's brothers and sisters, siblings of US citizens, and your priority is 2013. So you were approved by USCIS in 2020, and now your case was transferred to the NVC. So let's take a look. I'm going to take a look at the all chargeability area, and we're going to be looking at the graph B, because it is graph B that is showing us the when the NVC portal is going to be open up so that you can start your documentary qualification process. So F4, here it is. For all chargeability area, right now it is March 2008. So you are in 2013, so roughly you have another 5 years before the NVC portal fully opens up so that you can start your documentary qualification process. That is if you are in all chargeability area. China is the same. For India, it's 2 years more. For Mexico, it's 5 years more, 7 years more actually. And for Philippines, it is 4 years more. So if you want, let me know the chargeability area, because it might be different based on that. But that's what you're looking at, still some waiting to do. F4 category, you shouldn't be here because your category was always current. F4 category, you shouldn't be here because your category... No, actually, Brahim, you're not exactly correct, because F4 category was never current, because F4 category is one of those categories that takes the longest, because it's forced preference category. So fourth, from 1, 2, 3, 4, the lowest, the longest. So Brahim, that's not correct, but for sure, hopefully I answered your question. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions. But Brahim, please don't spread misinformation. I would really appreciate everyone not spreading misinformation on this channel. I'm actually gonna remove this comment so it doesn't confuse people. Okay, moving further to the next one from YMC Administration 2413. Hi, my brother filed I-130 since 2013. Till now, we are waiting, nothing received. So pretty much exactly the same situation as with Farshar, except Farshar already got the approval letter from USCIS. So his case, or her case, Farshar, their case was already transferred to the NVC. And it really depends on, I wouldn't stress about it too much. I mean, it is frustrating, and trust me, I in the beginning of this video I said I have I-130 in forced preference category for my brother, and I know how it is to wait. We still have a long time to wait. So please don't misunderstand me. But what I mean is, I wouldn't stress about whether you have received the approval from USCIS or not yet, because it depends on which state you are filing from, and depending which service center your application, your I-130 petition is being processed at. Some of the service centers, they take longer to process. They wait closer to the availability of the immigrant visa before they review it and then send it to the NVC. And others, they just review it and then they send it to NVC, like in Farshar's case, and it's just sitting in an NVC. So at the end of the day, you're waiting the same amount of time as per visa bulletin. It's just whether it was approved by USCIS earlier or later. It really doesn't make that much difference. But 2013, so you are looking roughly at another 5 years before it's at NVC and you can start your documentary qualification process, and then roughly another 6 years as of right now, roughly. I say roughly because it keeps on increasing, unfortunately, before the availability of the immigrant visa. Okay, so let's post this and we're gonna move on to the next one. Nadine Parkinson says, I think USCIS made a mistake with the visa bulletin for F2A, then go back 3 years. That is must be a mistake. Nadine, honestly, I really hope they did make a mistake. But the same thing we were saying, hoping for a mistake, I did personally, for F1 in the graph B since last month. I also thought that they made a mistake for one of the employment-based categories on the visa bulletin, but it unfortunately turned out to be true. So let's hope it's a mistake, but in the next couple of visa bulletin issues, we will see. Hopefully it starts, but we'll see. And then Brahim says, yeah, it does not make sense since it has been current for like a decade. The thing is, it hasn't been current for Brahim. Keeps on spreading misinformation. I'm not sure why, but I'm gonna hide the user from this channel because there's already a lot of misinformation on the internet. I don't need more misinformation on this channel. The F2A has not been current for the past, I would say, about 4 or 5 months. So that's why it's very important to stay on top of the visa bulletin and make sure you're checking on it, and make sure you are checking on the official government sources. That's why I say in the beginning of every video on this, every time I make a video, you're listening to what I'm saying and I'm grateful for it. But please verify that information, and that's why I'm saying the date. Today is July 15, tomorrow I'll say July 16, and so forth, so that you know how old this information is, because information changes every day. The official government links are in the description. Always verify all the information, the one that I'm giving you, and be careful with, because there's a lot of forums out there. There's a lot of attorney websites that have not been updated for a long time. There's a lot of information out there, and a lot of misleading stuff. You don't want to be misled, because it can cause some serious issues. Nadine, we all hope it's a mistake, but we'll see in the next issue. Okay, moving further to the next one from Maya SF. Thank you for the video. One question: what if instead of filing out by hand, I print the text and stick it in a field? You can absolutely 100% do that. You can, yes, absolutely. I would honestly recommend doing that. Instead of writing by hand, type up as much as possible in the PDF document, in the PDF application, because it prevents a lot of mistakes. You know, we all have different handwritings. My handwriting is horrible, so I know if I write something in the application, you know, USCIS officer that's going to be reviewing, they're gonna get it wrong. So yes, absolutely, Maya, that's a great question. Type it up as much as possible in the PDF, print it out, and then whatever's left, like signature, date, whatever you cannot fill by, you know, printing, then fill it out by hand. Just make sure filling out the your paper application, make sure you don't leave any blank spaces. Very important not to leave any blank spaces. Put not applicable, N/A in the fields that are not applicable. Okay, let's take care of the last question for today from Start Today. Hi, what if I start receiving check from work before 150 days? Ooh, Start Today. That's I would be very, very careful with stuff like this and commenting about stuff like this. What that means is that you're working without the employment authorization document. Not good, not good. Be careful. You can get in a lot of trouble for it, and it's not worth it. Plus, you really, I'm not sure how you're receiving check, because whenever it comes to payroll, being on the payroll, you do need to provide the social security number and all that sort of stuff. So Start Today, be very careful with that. I would discourage that strongly, because, you know, if you are receiving check, it means you're getting paid, it means you're working before receiving the employment authorization document. So be very, very careful for it. You might get in a lot of trouble for it, because obviously the reason why the employment authorization, you know, is given to people is so that they could work legally in the United States of America. So if you're working without the employment authorization document on the status that you're not authorized to work on, then obviously you're doing it illegally, and that can cause a lot of problems, as you would imagine. So thank you very much, everyone, for all your comments and questions. As always, I appreciate it. Hopefully my answers were helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, you're always welcome, as many as you have, to come back and comment on this channel, on any of the videos, and I will be happy to answer them in the next volumes. So thanks again for your time. God bless, and I'll see you all in the next video.